What's going on, folks? Again, we are back with week 9, and we got a lot to talk about. We got a little bit to talk about here, and I just wanted to introduce the domain that we're working on with week 9. In this previous week, in week 8, we had an opportunity to see some content. There was some content around utilizing RAG to lower your costs as you're dealing with your foundation model. So having that knowledge base, I think we highlighted Bedrock in a post this week on LinkedIn. So go check that out. But other than that, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. Let's see what we can do as far as applications and foundation models. How you doing today, Coach? Doing all
Hey,
right?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking.
That's good. All right. I was thinking about y'all, and I was curious to know if anybody is wondering what you get out of specific models, and is there a service that kind of highlights that? Can show me a model card, if you will, or show me how a model is evaluated and how performance is considered. And I want to show you SageMaker reinvent. A lot of stuff happened with SageMaker. One of my favorite portions of SageMaker is SageMaker AI. A lot of stuff has happened out there. And if you read the sub menu section after you go into SageMaker, I just jumped into SageMaker right here. And this is SageMaker AI. On the left side of the screen, we got this feature called Jumpstart. Jumpstart wants to jumpstart you into one scenario that you're trying to build out with some applications. Cool that we're already here in domain 3. One of these specifically is Hugging Face. And if I choose Hugging Face, I can just jump into see what this company has done with different models. And so as I zoom in a bit, you'll be able to see Mistral 7B is one of those models that you can play around with in Bedrock. But matter of fact, if we choose Mistral 7B right now, we can learn about the model. I love this about page because it tells you what you can watch out for. And I won't read this. Of course, I'll let you have an opportunity to go through it. But not only does it tell you general information about the model, it gives you info about running inferences against the model. And it also gives you the scenario that you can launch. And as you see on the top right of the screen, you have an opportunity to deploy this model in the specific scenario that is considering here. Or you can choose the button that says evaluate, and you can evaluate the model. But again, if you're looking for a place to jumpstart your application as you're dealing with AI, SageMaker Jumpstart is the perfect place. Just choose the company that you want to deal with, choose the models that you want to go through, and learn a lot about it, right? But that's a little bit for you. So if you consider SageMaker AI on the exam, you'll have a little bit of info to consider there. But some new stuff has been happening, right, Coach? And I think we can spend a lot of our time there today. And so I'm always trying to like brush up on the latest articles that are happening. So latest and greatest news that we've got over in Amazon Bedrock is the ability to use Anthropic's latest model, and it's Claude 3.7. And Claude 3.7 has done a good job with utilizing some under the hood inference parameters so that we can make a little bit more precise right outcomes when you're asking questions to the model. And that's what Claude 3.7 wants to do for us. Here is a link that you can grab, you can read it. We're going to put this in the post so you can brush up on everything new regarding Claude 3.7. I've used it already. So I've been seeing the up-to-date responses. I've asked the Claude Sonnet 3.5 things like, who is the current president? And they'll tell me things like, oh, it's 2024 and we haven't chosen a president yet. So that was the key indicator that Claude needed to update what's happening from a foundation model perspective. But now if you ask Claude 3.7 who the president is, they're going to tell you. Right? Just an update there in Bedrock.
That's a great point. One of the things that I typically do that whenever I'm engaging with any interface is I prompt first by saying, "What's your current update?" Or what are you up to date on? Who are you? And it's always interesting to see what the question is that the model comes back with, or what the answer is that the model comes back with. But that's an excellent point. I do that so that I understand what's the data how far back has it been trained, so that I can understand if I'm looking for something current, that maybe that's not either the right model to choose, or I can look at a different option. And sometimes different models have different options or features of where I can look for something that's more current, or use different feature where I can search online with the model, or allow the model to search online. So that's also a really good segue there.
Yeah, that's excellent, right? Goes back to going into SageMaker AI Jumpstarts, right? Now I got an
Yeah,
opportunity to evaluate that thing to say, is this even going to be useful for my application? Wouldn't it
absolutely.
be wouldn't it be tough, right? To use a model that hasn't been updated recently, but the application that you're using needs to deal with current events, right?
Absolutely.
So it's a great point to make. Before we leave this link, because again, you can read this yourself, right? I won't go through and read it for you, but there's a few actually here, right? There's another article that I wanted to point out that talks about from a software engineering benchmark perspective how this is going to be a better model for you. And just to make it simple, I've read this thing. Underneath the hood, there's better right infrastructure being utilized, and there's a more structured way to deal with knowledge that's out there on the web. And so you'll be able to read this chart to know, what percentage of reasoning is happening now that you're using Claude 3.7 versus 3.5 or any of these other ones. But again, I'll leave that up to you. There's a few categories here, like graduate level reasoning, agentic coding, right? Something that we talked about before, agentic tool use, multilingual question and answering, visual reasoning, right? Instruction following, math problem solving, high school math competition, right? How well would this model do in a high school math competition versus other models? So I've already started using it. You should do it too, right? Get updated.